The other thing that we did on the trail was gunship escort. Okay, so they, again, in the winter of 69 and 70, gunships over the trail were just starting to come into play. Now, they had AC 47 gunships for close air support, essentially in permissive environments in the South for some time, since the start of the war.
Those are spooky, correct?
Well, there's a number of different ones. Yeah. So the
that was the old World War II bird with the holes.
Exactly. Yeah. With 7.62 30 caliber miniguns pointing out the side, and they would circle around the target and shoot down on it. And you know, the early days they put a grease pencil mark on the side of the canopy and kind of figured out where that was and went off of that. So you didn't have too many of those. The Laotians flew some of those, but we never worked with them. It was strictly an inter-Laotian AC-47s. They also had AC 123s, AC 119s, Stingers, same
one with the
twin boom on the back, and then AC 130s was the what they were working towards.
That became Spectre at that
Spectre,
point.
yeah, and they were just coming into their own there. Well, they wanted us to escort them because of ground fire. They couldn't see ground fire, and so we would work with the Stingers and the I forget the call sign of the 123s that would kick out CBU out of the back of them, and we would fly up above them, fly them, and if there was ground fire, we would call it out to them. You could kind of see where they would. We would do some of that with the AC 130s, but they flew a little faster than us, and it wasn't totally compatible. So you would escort a gunship around through his whole mission, and then he would fac you in on whatever he found left at the end of his mission.
That point you just made, when you factor in all the different aircraft and the speed they would run and how they would try to operate together, like the Skyraider, if it was escorting an HH-53, would actually have to circle around it because it moved at such a slower speed. Now you're up with a
130 could as fast or faster. Yeah.
Just in your doors,
yeah.
and you're trying to keep up.
Yeah. Now, of course, normally they wouldn't be flying straight lines, and they'd be circling around and stuff, so you could end up keeping up with them. But yes, we would do gunship escorts as well, and then you'd finish up the mission. You'd get the battle damage assessment from the FAC. You're writing that down on your knee pad with a grease pencil. You know how many trucks you got, and they would estimate the number of rounds of ground fire that you took. And you write all that down. You start heading back towards NKP. You couldn't check each other over for battle damage because you couldn't see anything. It's dark, And we'd come back to NKP and do a ground-controlled approach, radar-controlled approach landing or a TACAN approach there because it's nighttime and you can't see the ground.
And when you get down, did you, I'm sure you did post-flight inspection of your aircraft, how many times did you come back with holes in your bird?
Not that, I mean, me personally, doing night work, I don't know that I ever did. I mean, we lost airplanes at night to ground fire. There was a real possibility of mid-air collisions. We had two A-1s run together while I was there, but blessedly just clipped each other and brought both of them back. But, it's not just the ground fire that's dangerous, it's the other airplanes that's
there's
up there.
A lot in the air, and that's the other thing that never gets really talked about. You've got the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Marines had some stuff out there. You had helicopters, you had airplanes, you had everything in the world, all at these different altitudes.
Oh yeah, and there's other strikes going on nearby,
yeah.
and people flying to and from, and no radar control until you got right back to NKP. So it was. I
was interviewing a gentleman with an EC-47, which is the old World War II
yes.
C-47, and they were up north, and he was talking about, they're collecting intel, and he said he had F-4s diving through on bombing runs, you know, and he could see him coming right through his altitude.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. No, it's
So-
it's very dangerous.
day and night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So you recall that you can take a closer picture of this when you get a chance. This is a mission patch for my tour at NKP, and you got to sort of design your own patch more or less within the standard ground lines, and you've seen copies of these. So it's got 183 missions, which was the number of combat missions I had in the 10-month tour that I was there. A1H and an A1 prop, but I wrote down there, you know, Firefly, which was the squadron call sign, Sandy, which was the search and rescue, and then Night Fighter, because night was about half of our missions on the daily frag were at night. We had lieutenants who had come out of pilot training, and towards the end of their tour, and then we're right into A1s. Towards the end of the tour, they had more nighttime than they had daytime, total time. And so nights were a major part of our flying in the 69 to 70 range.
It was what, 71? When did LBJ do the halt to the bombing of up north?
Well, there was a number of them, you know. Well, we were not bombing up north in 1969 and 70, other than minor incursions.
That's where we spent a lot of the time on the trail.
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
stop the
yeah,
trucks.
yeah, and then later on they resumed bombing up north. And
Yeah, and I think Nixon did as well when he came in, and that was right at the end when we pulled out.
Yep,
correct?
yep.
Yeah. Let's see. Anything else that you'd like to talk
No,
about?
you know, thanks for the opportunity to talk about the night operations, and because they were such a large part of what we did there, and they, you know, they were rewarding in the because you could tangibly see that you were stopping trucks from getting down south where they were doing the most damage, and so you could see that you were doing something there. It was good to do that. And
When you were down south, and the way the North Vietnamese would run equipment, they would bring people and munitions down from the north, but then they would go by sea down around. They come in from the south with their heavy equipment, their tanks and their trucks, and and bulldozers and whatnot. Did you ever fly down there and stop any of that, or?
Not. I mean, I flew into Cambodia, but not doing that. And we had just started towards the end of my tour. They had the Cambodia incursion out of it, but no, didn't do that. They would bring tanks in through northern Laos and the passes as well, and bulldozers, you know, and that was a much valued target. If you could find a bulldozer, that was a good thing to knock out.